Hey everybody, welcome back. Happy Friday. Happy Payday Friday. Don't forget to pay yourself first. Thank you all for always tuning in. As I always say, remember to like this post, share it, tell all your friends about it. Make sure they come on over to my Facebook page, and so they can get this free knowledge. Okay, so as I said before, we are going to wrap up our discussion on taxes. So if you have a question, make sure you drop it in the comments while we're on today. So until I get some questions, I got a couple questions earlier today, and the first question was, okay, how does filing exempt impact me? So if you recall, a couple Fridays ago, we went through the W-4 form. So if you didn't watch that video, make sure you go watch that, because I really broke down my recommendations on what you should do for your personal exemptions, right? So, but there's an option on there to file exempt, meaning that you don't get any federal taxes taken out, and you can do it on the state side as well, if you are in a state where taxes are taken out. So again, as I recommend for everyone, is that don't do it. Not for everyone, but for most people, you should not file exempt, because it potentially could put you in a owing status, right? But again, that really depends on everyone's tax situation, because if you make less than whatever your standard deduction is, then filing exempt may work for you, okay? But if you make more than your standard deduction based on your filing status, then filing exempt, it will not work for you. Okay? It potentially could put you in an owing status. So again, taxes is one of those things that we have to pay them. So at all costs, again, depending on your tax situation, do not file exempt. So if you need more guidance on that, seek a tax professional, me, and I can tell you for your tax situation if you should be filing exempt or not. All right. Another question that I received was the extension. So if you file an extension for this year and your tax return is due October 15th, okay? October 15th is when it's due by. So you have until October 15th to still electronically file your taxes on time. Now, one thing to note, and they make sure they say this, when you file an extension, the IRS lets you know that if you owe, you owe back from April 15th, because that's when taxes are due. Okay, you owe back from April 15th. So be mindful that you may be charged interest from April through October, or from April until the time that you actually pay your taxes back. So again, filing an extension, your taxes are due October 15th. Try to get them done sooner than later, so you're not rushing to get them, rushing at the end. But just make sure you get your taxes filed by the October 15th date, right? So some other things, so if you guys who are on, thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions, please drop them in. A couple things I do want to touch on that we didn't touch on prior videos is pre-tax deductions, okay? So many of us work jobs where there are opportunities for us to have healthcare, retirement, a health savings account, or a flexible spending account. So you have to see what the different options are at your job. So those are considered pre-tax deductions, right? And what pre-tax deductions essentially mean that you won't be taxed on that amount of money that they're going to take out for those different things. So for example, if you make $1,000 a month, you have $100 going towards healthcare, another $100 going towards retirement. So that brings your income down to your gross down, it'd be a net consider now, down to $800. You'll be taxed on the $800 rather than the $1,000, right? So pre-tax deductions are great because it helps lower the amount of taxes that you have to pay. And again, your most common ones are health insurance, health savings account, flexible spending accounts, and retirement accounts. Okay. So, and again, some of those can get, be really, really detailed. So make sure you research or talk to your employer about, what the right options are for you. Because again, everything could be different, right? Depending on where you work at. Another thing I would like to bring up is your, what is a tax deduction? deduction versus a tax credit. So last week we spent time talking about standard deduction versus itemized deduction. So again, another thing, if you didn't watch that video, make sure you go back and watch that one as well, right? So a tax deduction, again, it is going to lower your taxable income, okay? Again, a tax deduction lowers your taxable income. And I gave a lot of examples of different deductions last week. So obviously, you know, your standard deduction, that lowers your taxable income, right? So it helps you, essentially, it can bring you down to a lower tax bracket. A lower tax bracket means less taxes that you have to pay, right? A tax credit, now what that's going to do is it's going to reduce your tax liability, right? So let's say if, you know, I prepare my tax return. I have my standard deduction of $12,000, and let's say, you know, just hypothetically, that brings my income down to $10,000. And let's say there's a credit that I qualify for, and then let's say that credit is $1,000. So what that $1,000 is going to do is going to offset any potential money, my tax liability at that point. All right. So whatever 10,000 times, you know, whatever the tax rate is for $10,000, probably like less than like 10% or something like that. So now what can happen is there are some tax credits that are refundable, and there are many tax credits that are non-refundable. Okay. So a refundable one will reduce your tax liability to zero, and potentially could result in you getting a refund. Okay. But again, that's going to vary based on everyone's situation. A non-refundable tax credit just simply reduces your liability, just continue to reduce your tax liability, It will not result in a refund. Okay, you will not be able to get that money back, all right? So, but again, if you have other things in combination of that, you could end up in a refund status. So just be aware that yes, there are things that are tax credits, but again, it could be a refundable or non-refundable tax credit. All right. So everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm getting a credit. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to result in you getting a refund. Right. So again, know that difference between tax deductions and tax credits. All right. Tax deduction lowers your taxable income. Tax credits lowers your tax liability, your tax bill, essentially. All right. Few other things that again, if you have any questions for those tuning in right now, please drop them in, and I definitely want to make sure that I'm answering you all tax questions that you may have, even if it's just something, you know, super general. One thing that I want to touch on as well is the concept about, you know, getting a refund. And I believe I may touch on this in a few other videos, and if so, it is what it is. But I just want people to understand that, okay, many people may end up in a refund status depending on, again, their tax situation, right? And from my experience with doing taxes, if you are a, you know, middle class working citizen, you know, you make a pretty decent living for yourself, you really should be breaking even every year, right? Now, that is not unpopular opinion, you know, for folks where they're like, oh no, I want to get a refund. I want to ball out, you know, come January. But really, in reality, you should be breaking even, okay? Because getting a refund means that you are paying the government too much money throughout the year. And that is money that could be in your pocket every single month, rather than giving the government an interest-free loan, okay? If the government gave you a loan, please believe they will charge you interest, okay? I.e. student loans, that we get that from the government, and they're charging us interest every single day. So I would, again, you know, break even. Okay, if you're making a decent living, break even is the goal, right? So that plays into the part of making sure you have the right exemptions, making sure you are keeping track of anything that you can potentially itemize. If you know that comes out greater than your standard deduction. So just be aware that, again, many people are consistently always going to get a refund. You know, maybe they may not make a lot of money, and then they get, you know, other credits back that are refundable. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with getting a refund. It's just that, like, for me personally, I'm just going to give you all, you know, for my situation, I'm a single individual. I don't have any children. I should be breaking even every year. If I'm getting $2,000-$3,000 back every year from the government, that means that I'm doing something wrong. Okay. Now, if I'm getting a little something back, that's not terrible. I'm not going to beat myself over. I'm like, okay, thank you for, you know, giving me my money back. But again, I should be as close to breaking even as possible. All right. So again, if you ever have any, further questions on that and really want to sit down and analyze your tax situation, holla at your girl. All right. So that's really, again, don't forget to go back and watch those other videos where I really broke down some things. I just wanted to wrap this month up with a few things, just really hitting the head on to make sure you all understand, the ins and outs of taxes as much as possible, in the most understanding and basic way as possible. Obviously, taxes is a very complex topic. I don't even know every single thing about taxes. There's just no way that would be even possible because tax laws are constantly changing. The tax thing is very complicated, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Another thing that I do want to bring up is in regards to my business owners out there. So it is important that you keep track of every single expense. Okay, keep track of every single expense because what that's going to do is going to lower the income that you have made from your business, which will lower your tax liability. Okay, so keep those receipts. Keep a separate bank account for your business. And I'm going to really touch on like business accounting in future Finance Fridays. But I just want to say, just put that out there and don't wait till the last minute to keep track of those things. Here we are more than halfway through the year. If you haven't done any type of accounting, bookkeeping for your business for these first 6 months, 7 months of the year, it is now a good time to do that so you're not scrambling come tax return season, right? Tax filing season, excuse me. So really, really, really be business savvy. Get those things on the go. And it's important because if you potentially miss out on some things, you could owe more money than you would have had you been keeping track of your expenses, right? So again, I'm gonna touch more on business owner things next month. So thank you all for tuning in to Finance Friday. Again, don't forget to share this post. Just wanted to drop a few things on you all in regards to taxes. And yes, please, 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 I cannot stress this enough. Do not give tax advice if you're not a tax professional, okay? Don't do it. Everybody's situation is different, okay? Seek advice and help if you are confused on anything, okay? Do not assume, okay? Just, and do what's best for you. No one knows your financial situation but you. So make sure that you have your things in order, right? If you are owing every year, that means you need to do something different. That means you need to lower your exemptions or, figure out, or stop filing exempt. Because, again, sometimes that's I've seen that with many people and they just like, whatever. Like, I don't care. I want all my money. But then you have to pay the government money, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. Another thing that just came to mind that I do want to know is that it is illegal to not file your tax return. Okay? It is illegal to not file your tax return. It is not illegal to not pay them back. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean they can't come after and garnish you. And garnish your paychecks, and garnish your bank account, because unfortunately I've seen that happen to many people. So, but again, it's illegal not to file your tax return. It's not illegal to not pay them back, but obviously you want to get on a payment plan and take care of that. All right. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope this information has been helpful this month of July when we're talking about taxes. Again, if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your girl. Happy Friday, and if it's payday for you, don't forget to pay yourself first.